Jake Stuart with the National Sports Media Association, and today I'm joined by 2021 New York Sportscaster, Sports Writer of the Year, Donna Ditota. Donna, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Well, first off, congratulations on your award. What does it mean to you to be recognized by the National Sports Media Association?
Oh, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I've joined some large, really, really good people who have won this award before me. And so and I'm proud to be the first woman from New York State, frankly, to get it. So I'm very excited about it.
It's so awesome. And I wanted to ask you first, Donna, who are some of the sports writers that you looked up to getting into the industry?
Oh man, when I was a kid, I read everybody. I read Sports Illustrated. I read our daily newspaper. We subscribed to two different newspapers when I was a kid, and I just read everybody. I can't say that like I had a particular favorite or somebody that I really really looked up to. I read as much as I could possibly read and watched a lot of sports and yeah, that's it.
You write for the Syracuse Media Group. What is that? Just working in the college atmosphere, what has that taught you kind of about the sports landscape itself in your coverage?
Well, I've been doing it for a long time. And so I've had a lot of years to learn about a lot of different kinds of things. I've primarily focused on college basketball, but I've covered pretty much every sport there is. I've covered, baseball, football, except for hockey. I haven't done any hockey. I've covered some lacrosse, and I've learned a lot about sports. I've learned a lot about, but I mean, the whole thing about business, the whole thing about the sports business is, it's all about people. It's all about the people who play, the people who coach. And that's been the thing that I've focused on most of my career, is trying to sort of get to the heart of who these people are in that are playing the sports that we watch.
And I'm curious too, Donna, how much did, getting at the heart of that story, as you mentioned, how much did that change with COVID and with your coverage? Did that, was it impacted a lot or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, I cover Syracuse's basketball team, and I was covering games in an empty building. There were probably a couple of ushers there. There were both of the teams. There were maybe 10 reporters there. The good thing about it was I had a fantastic seat because there was nobody else in the building. But the bad thing about it was, the interactions with the players afterwards was all on Zoom. And no offense, but I hate Zoom. I really grew to hate Zoom when I was reporting, because nothing takes the place of actually talking to a person, sitting down with a person in person, and having a question and answer, kind of a give and take kind of thing. It's a lot more natural, a lot more comfortable. And with the Zoom situation, the only person you got to talk to were the people who the school sent out to talk. So, a lot of stories I think did not get covered or did not get fully realized because we were limited to who we could talk to.
No, I'm curious too. This is a totally different kind of question, but where did you get your start? What made you want to get into writing?
I've always been an athlete. So I was a good athlete in high school, a good athlete in college, and I was always interested in writing, and I was interested in journalism. And, I just remember gobbling up all the Watergate stuff when I was just a kid. I probably was 10 or 11 years old when all that stuff came out, and I thought it was fascinated by all of it. So I just wanted to be a reporter, and I was a voracious reader as a kid. And, I was, like I said, as a good athlete, interested in sports. And so it just seemed like the perfect marriage of the two things.
So I'm thinking a little bit more about Syracuse, Donna, and obviously it's a school that is very renowned for basketball, the Boeheims, and football as well. What to your knowledge? So what have been some of the cooler events to cover and write about? What have been some cool stories to be able to cover?
Generally it's been some of the quirkier things, because the day-to-day basketball coverage gets pretty, I don't want to say mundane, but it's pretty business-like. You know what you have to do. There are various players over the years that, I've talked to, have had cool stories. All that's been great. But I mostly remember sort of the weird things that happen. Like, I remember covering the game on the battleship in San Diego, which was so bizarre. There was a gusty winds blowing, and nobody could shoot from outside like 8-10 feet from the basket, and just was a bizarre experience. It's like those are the kinds of things I remember more than going to the Final Four. I've been to a few Final Fours with Syracuse, and they're interesting, but they're all essentially the same. But it's the quirkier stories that I think that I remember more than the just general sportsy kind of things.
Right. And I would even throw in this season too, as one being kind of quirky. The fact that it was so up and down, and the way it ended just kind of gave me, it really seemed like Rutgers in a lot of ways, the way their season was, beating a lot of those quad one teams, and then, having some of the opposite tales as well. But definitely an up and down season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Syracuse was 16 and 17 this year, and I don't think they had a quad win, one win. I think they were 0 for the quad one situation. So it was a rough year for them. They couldn't guard anybody. That was their biggest problem. I mean, they had a bunch of scorers on that team, but they just really struggled to guard teams, and that was their big issue this year.
So, Donna, I want to ask you for younger sports writers just getting into the industry now, what's some advice that you have?
My advice is just be dogged, just to try to get it. Like I remember when I got my job, I just really begged the Syracuse newspapers to hire me. I mean, I kept coming back every couple of months and saying like, hey, here I am, I'm still out here, and you should hire me and all of that. And so I think just trying to be as aggressive as you can be without being like a pest, and then getting as much experience as you could possibly get, write for your school newspaper, intern find a really good internship where people will actually mentor you, where you actually get to do some work. I mean, that's the best thing. The more work you can do, the more experience that you will have, and the more marketable you'll be as a professional. And so that's the advice that I would give. And you have to love it. I mean, you have to love the grind of it. You have to love the day-to-day, multiple hours per day, the nights and the weekends. It's a tough job, and it's a mentally taxing job. And if you don't love it, you're not going to be good at it.
Well, I agree. I agree with every point you made. And thank you so much for coming today, Donna. Congratulations on your award. We hope to see you in Winston-Salem this summer as well.
Thanks so much. Great to speak with you.